MTG fans, this is Coach Russell, and I'm being joined by Jonathan Dunning from the channel They Said We Said. And welcome to our very broadcast for the 1v1 Community Cup for EDH.
Absolutely, Coach. This is going to be an absolute bloodbath. This is 8 of the well-known competitors, community members in the Magic the Gathering community. We have podcasters, we have YouTube creators, and that's pretty much it.
You're totally right about that one. Just podcasters and people who like to throw up PowerPoints and just point to pictures. You got that right, John.
You and I aren't going to be slinging some cardboard, but we will tell people if they're wrong or right about their decisions.
And most of the time, we will probably be wrong on that just because we are not professionals.
That is true.
So some of the content creators that we have going into this 1v1 EDH Community Cup, we have Samuel Rubin, the twitching expert for MTG Online. We also have Nisahone Magic, who does his top 10s for the Magic the Gathering community. And we also have our very own comedian, YouTube content creator for the Magic the Gathering franchise, Tasty Snackies.
Wow, and I even heard that this competition spans worldwide. We actually have 2 people across the pond in Total MTG and Orcs Head Magic from a little place called England.
Well, you're not talking about a pond, you're talking about the Atlantic Ocean, which is about 4,000 miles separating us.
So, Coach, why don't you kind of tell us about the genesis of this thing, of the Content Creator Community Cup?
Well, it's just a way to bring the YouTube content creators to where they have a competition, they duke it out with the favorite games they love. We see all these guys in some way, shape, or form do deck tests, and we want to see them duking it out with the most popular format of the community. So we have decided to put on the YouTube Content Creators Cup to see who of these 8 individuals will be the best person in MTGO for this very first cup.
And so this very first one is all focusing on 1v1 Commander. So 1v1 Commander is a little bit different from regular Commander. We are going off the latest rule change from Wizards of the Coast. All the ban lists are implemented in this thing, correct?
Yes, John, and that includes the #1 artifact at the time before the May 10th ban, Soul Ring, along with the Mox 5. So you also have Mana Vault that is going to be taken out of this list. It will be placed on the ban and restricted list for this competition. You also have some other mana accelerants that I probably have not mentioned, but those are the big cards that are not going to be playing in this EDH format.
Okay, Coach, well, I think we've teased the good folks enough, so we're not only going to tell you the rankings tonight, but we're going to tell you the first round matchups. So why don't we go ahead and introduce the fine competitors that are going to be slinging spells at each other.
So with our top 8 rankings right now, in number 8, we have Zuby from the podcast Magic with Zuby. What is his commander going to be?
He is playing Reese the Redeemed. That is a green-white hybrid commander at converted mana cost of 1, and that is a token generator. So this thing gets out of hand quickly, and so I just want to run down a couple of the big cards that are going to help him kind of a keys to victory, and that's going to be Trostani, Celestia's Voice. So all these tokens are going to be popping out, and you're going to have Trostani gain new life for that. She could populate as well. Then you have the Mycolith, which comes out and devours a couple of your tokens, makes the team bigger. And then, of course, what token strategy is relevant without Skull Clamp? This thing is the most busted artifact equipment of all time, especially when you're running tokens. At a 1 converted casting cost, you could equip it for 1. Your creature gets +1/-1, so essentially you're killing your own creatures and drawing cards from it. So that is a very scary thing when you're running the tokens.
So Skull Clamp is going to be one of your best cards, and it is usually a staple in some of these token decks, John.
Absolutely, and it does give us some much needed card advantage for a color combination that doesn't traditionally have card advantage.
Indeed, John. So let's move on to number 7, and that is Chaz from MTG Goldfish and also on the podcast Quiet Speculation. What deck is he running, John, and what commander is he going to control for this matchup?
He is going with the dastardly combination of blue-black with Phoenix, God of Deception. This strategy is the one mill strategy we have of the 8 competitors. And mill strategies in Commander kind of have a bad rap, but this one, when you're going against a 1v1 format, can be quite powerful, especially with cards like Rexiel the Risen Deep, which comes out and grants you casting spells for free, you know, giant spells for free when it comes out. Consuming Aberration, which is a engine all to itself. And then, of course, the combo piece of the deck, and that's Eater of the Dead, which basically sits out and allows you to just keep milling their cards infinitely for no mana investment. And
that's going to be a very interesting matchup to see in whatever opponents that this deck will be playing, because 1v1 Commander, you are talking about 100 cards, essentially, not like a modern deck where you have to try to go through 60. Now it is 100. Now, essentially, that should be taking longer for some of these strategies to play out. So, let's move on with number 6, Jordan from Orc's Head Magic. John, what is he going to be running with in this competition for the Content Creators Cup?
Well, Jordan did not surprise me in picking red for his commander's identity. However, he went with Wart the Boggart Ante, which also splashes some black into the mix. So he is going full-on Goblin aggro with cards like Krenko Mob Boss, which doubles your Goblin army every time you tap them. Also, you know, cards like Siege Gang Commander, and of course the ever popular, you know, old standard favorite Goblin Rabble Master, which can take over games by itself. So Wart Boggart Ante, an interesting Goblin Commander with throwing some black into the mix. Maybe he wants some better removal, but this is going to be a spicy meatball.
So it's going to be definitely speed on the side for Orc's Head Magic. And if you guys don't realize that with Orc's Head Magic, he does also do deck text and blocks. So it'll be a very interesting setup to see what he plays against. Obviously, his opening hand is going to be essentially important as he is trying to get lots of speed and just a lot of small stuff out there to quickly attack his opponent. But let's move on with number 5, and that is our other British competition, and that'll be Total MTG, who is most famously in the community going for pack openings, and right now he's sitting at about 2,000 plus subs. So John, what is he running for his commander deck?
Absolutely, and this is a great one, and actually a deck that I have quite a bit of experience with, and this is Talran the Sky Summoner, back from M13. So this is basically the closest thing you're going to have to a Storm deck during this competition. He is a mono blue commander, 2 blue and 2 for a 2/2, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you get to put a 2/2 Flying Drake into play. So you got cards like Burrell, a new card from Aether Revolt. Burrell, Chief of Compliance, works very nicely with this commander, making all your instants and sorceries is 1 less mana to cast. So then you have cards, you're basically playing control after that. You're doing all your cantrips, so you're getting your drakes faster. You have cards like Capsize, which can take over the game if you have enough mana, because you could just keep bouncing everything and you get a drake every time. And of course, the very big boogeyman, you know, when you're playing mono blue, and that's Cyclonic Rift.
Absolutely, John. And Capsize along with Cyclonic Rift. Capsize is something from the old school Magic, if I am not mistaken,
Tempest,
John.
Absolutely, Tempest.
And then Cyclonic Rift will also be one of your best removals if you are playing blue. And blue seems to be a heavy theme in this EDH 1 versus 1 Content Creators Cup.
Half the field is playing some iteration of blue, as opposed to the other side of the spectrum where only one competitor has included green in their deck. So that's a huge tell.
That is definitely going to be a very crazy situation depending on what kind of matchups we are going to see. So let's move on to number 4, and this will probably be one of my favorite competitors, also one of my favorite YouTube content creators, and that is Tasty Snack. He's most known for his rants, his deck techs, and just all kinds of craziness on his channel, John. So what is he going to be running for his EDH 1 versus 1?
So also known for his on-again, off-again relationship with the Rogue Deck Builder, who, you know, spoiler alert, might or might not be in this competition as well. But let's run through the deck. So Nick from Tasty Snackies is playing a Thassa God of the Sea deck. So this is our second god represented as commander, and this is just kind of straight up mono blue control. So you're going to have your Tameo, the Moon Sages from Avacyn Restored, kind of taking over the board. Your Consecrated Sphinxes, where you're just going to be drawing a handful of cards. And, of course, Nick's favorite, Arcanus the Omnipotent, or Omnipotent, or Omnipotent.
Omnipotent?
Sure. Yeah, so it's heavy blue. You're going to see a lot of water drop symbols on these cards to get Thassa turned on and turning sideways. And
that's going to be a very large and fast blue deck, essentially. I got to play against that with my Atraxa Super Friends. And I'll tell you what, John, that is a very hard deck to stop. So you need to have the hand to combat blue right away, or else it's going to be a long matchup for you. So having even Atraxa, one of the most powerful commanders and one of the most versatile commanders, having a deck going up against like Thassa is very dangerous if you do not have the essential cards that you need right away. And if I'm not mistaken, he is very counter heavy with about 13 counters. So even in your early game matches, you will probably see some problems running into with those first 4 turns of your game.
Of the 2 mono blue lists, this seems to be more of an aggro kind of control. So it's going to be very interesting to maybe see those 2 mono blue decks get matched up.
It's going to be definitely a deck to watch out for. Probably one of the potentials to be running into the final matchup. But you also have number 3 with Nizahone Magic. Niza's going to be, I know for sure he's going to be running a card deck, so he will be running a colorless. But Nizahone Magic is also best known for his top 10 videos with his top 10 Planeswalkers videos, John. I think he's already hit the 67,000 mark for viewership. And on top of that, his specialty is limited and drafting. So Nizahone is probably not in his comfort zone for this, but he also has done some EDH deck techs in the past, and this will be a fun person to watch when he goes up against his first games. And Card's a very interesting pick for this one, if I do say so myself. What do you think, John?
Nizahone is no slouch when it comes to EDH. But if you saw his kind of episode of the Hive Mind, shameless plug, he kind of discussed his love for Karn, this Silver Golem. But this is going to be, don't let this fool you. This is the mud deck, so to speak, of the competition, where there's no color at all. So you're running all basic, non-basic lands besides the 1 singleton waste. Just for thick cards like Swords of Plowshares, but this thing is crazy. I mean, we have all the big Eldrazi baddies in this thing. You have things like Sculpting Steel, and then you also have Tron in this, which is very interesting. This could turn into a modern Tron deck, because he has kind of land tutors and whatnot. So Karn the Silver Golem, a very interesting, very, very interesting pick for his commander, but this is not going to be a slouch of a deck. This is a scary beast.
Indeed it is, John. So let's move on with number 2, and that is Samuel Rubin. Samuel Rubin is known for his streaming of the Magic the Gathering online with his Twitch channel. So what deck is he running, and what commander is he going to be using for his deck, John?
So Samuel Rubin, I've heard, has a lot of experience live streaming. The person that I know the least about, but this deck he is running is nasty, and this is why he is in the number 2 spot. And that is Alesha, who smiles at death. So this is kind of a fast aggro reanimator strategy. Alesha, essentially, when you turn her sideways, she gets to put in creatures with power 2 or less directly into play for a very reasonable mana cost of just 2, and that's a hybrid black-white. So when you do that, you could cheat in things like Kiki Jiki for infinite combos. You could throw in things like Karmic Guide, where the Karmic Guide would come down and then bring a friend from the graveyard as well. Also, you get to search up you get to pinpoint exactly what you want in the graveyard with cards that he's running, like Entomb. So this is a very powerful, sneaky powerful deck that I've ran and have run against me to I've had my face kicked in quite a bit by Alesha.
If you've seen Standard right before the release of Amonkhet, you know that Mardu Vehicles was the dominant deck in Standard. But let's see how that plays out with this 1v1 EDH commander style format, because you know as well as I do, and for most of the people in this competition, that In Commander, anything could happen, just like with a college football game or any sort of big sports. Anything could happen, even with your top-ranked opponents. So you could have one of those lower losing teams essentially beat out a team if they're lucky enough and if the conditions are right. So it's the same way with Commander. Well, let's move on with number 1. So, John, that just leaves us with one person left, and that is Rogue Deck Builder. So Kevin over from his channel, one of the largest that we have in the competition, actually the largest in the Content Creators Cup, and he specializes in deck text, gameplay, and he is also our Pro Tour competitor, our most experienced player in our competition. So, John, what deck is he running? What commander is controlling his strategy?
Yeah, Coach, it was a slam dunk picking Kevin for number 1 spot with experience alone, but this deck is nasty. This is Brea Ethereum Shaper. This is one of the 4-color commanders from the newest commander set, and this is the who's who of disgusting. You can make it a Splinter Twin deck. You can make it a Felidar Guardian deck with Saheeli Rai. All those things are in this thing. The only color that's off the table is green. And then you have the horrible degenerate card, True Name Nemesis. And why don't we just fill out the rest of the deck with every single one of the swords? But Umazawa's Jitte is also in this thing. And why not Thopter Foundry for some more combo? So this is going to be a crazy deck if it gets off the ground. The question is, Coach, can it get off the ground before some of these aggro decks get in its face?
And that's going to be one of the problems that this deck will be seeing. Like we said, 1 versus 1 commander, anything can happen. So, John, what are your thoughts? Who do you think is your number 1 pick to be the matchup? And who is also your potential wild card that could actually be the Cinderella story of this competition?
You know, I gotta give, even though there's some aggro in this competition with the likes of Reese the Redeemed with Zuby's token aggro deck, Jordan's Wart Boggart anti-deck, I would still have to give the nod to Rogue Deck Builder as the odds-on favorite. Like you said, Coach, anything can happen in 1v1.
Here's my pick for it. And even though I love Tasties to death, I mean, even though he's one of my boys, I also have to give the sneaky competition. I'm going to throw a dark horse out there. Nizahone Magic with Karn. I think he might surprise a lot of people, even though it is a $50, $60 budget build. I think Karn has a lot of potential. So
now that we know the rankings, Coach, we can kind of set the matchups for you guys. So round 1 matchups are as follows. We're going to have Zuby with the Reese the Redeemed deck versus Chaz Volpe with the Phoenix God of Deception deck. What do you think about that matchup?
So that'll be our first game, and I think my prediction will be that Zuby will probably have to take the loss on this one. We're going to give it to Chaz with the Mill deck. So how about the next matchup, John? Who do we have next for game number 2?
Absolutely, and that is Orcs Head Magic, Orcs Head Jordan with that Wart Boggart anti-goblin aggro deck going against his brother across the pond with Total MTG and the Talran Sky Summoner deck. So you have straight goblin aggro versus Drake Control aggro.
So the 2 Englishmen are going to be duking it out in game 2 of this competition. What about game number 3, John? Who are we going to have up for this matchup?
Game number 3, we are looking at Mr. Tasty Snackies himself with Thassa, God of the Sea, going against your favorite of the competition, Nizahone Magic with Karn Silver Golem. Who do you got in this craziness?
I'm going to have to give it to Nisa. Even though I've played Nick plenty of times with Atraxa Super Friends, I know Nick can run into some mistakes if he does not have the right hand. With Nisa, I think he has a little bit of a better chance, but not saying much. I think he will be the dark horse of the competition, John. So what about game number 4? Who do we have? We should have Rogue Deck Builder left and also Sandy Rubin. So give us the breakdown for that little matchup.
That's right. So this is a very interesting matchup because you have Alesha, who smiles at death, who could get off to a fast start in this. Now the problem with Mardu, you're not running green, so mana might be an issue to get those Mardu colors in a 1v1 commander setting. However, Kevin, the Rogue Deck Builder, is running 4 colors, also sans green. So, you know what? I said, Kevin, you know, Rogue Deck Builder is my odds-on favorite, but this matchup does favor Samuel Rubin.
Absolutely, John. It's going to be one of those matches where you are going to have to be on point every single turn. That will be no mistakes for this EDH competition. So it's going to be very awesome to see these two duke it out in game number 4 of the Content Creators Cup. So what else do we have today, John, before we head out on and start posting this up and start getting those games set up?
Well, we could just kind of tell everyone where to find everyone, and all these matches are going to be posted on the Card Bazaar, so please make sure to like, comment, subscribe to all these matches. If you like these matches and you want to see a Season 2 of this thing, go ahead and let us know by viewing these things. So, yeah, all the matches are going to be posted on the Card Bazaar, and when we kind of get through round 1, we'll come back to the They Said We Said channel to go over kind of when the dust settles after round 1, the matchups for that round.
Yes, and also with this competition, with this promotional video of all the rankings and all the match. Okay, so John, for this little competition, we want everyone at home who is going to be viewing this, our subscribers, our not subscribers who haven't hit that subscribe button yet, we want them to comment on who they think is going to win this competition. So if you're viewing this video, we want you to comment who is going to be the champion for this 1v1 EDH. Is it going to be Rogue Deck Builder, which is going to be John's favorite? Is it going to be Nizaho running Karn, which is my favorite? Or is it going to be one of these other 6 competitors in the 1v1 EDH Competitors Cup? So please hit that comment button and write out who is going to be the winner for this competition. Make your prediction now, and we will get back to you. John, that is all I have for this rankings, all this very first 1v1 EDH Content Creators Cup. Anything else you have to say before we sign off, John?
Absolutely. You could catch Coach and I commentating on every single match coming up starting very soon. The first one will drop, and that is the first one being Zuby, Magic with Zuby versus Chaz Volpe with that mill deck. So that's going to be insane to watch. So for Coach from the Card Bazaar, I'm John the Orzhov Dud from They Said We Said, and we'll see you real soon.